IIM K BMS AT, which is the entrance exam for BMS program at IIM Kozhikode, is going to be conducted on 22nd of June 2025. We are coming up with a crash course wherein we will be covering the whole syllabus that is going to be asked in the exam. This crash course is going to have 30 sessions and each session will be delivered to you on this YouTube channel itself daily at 9 pm. After this crash course is done, we will be providing you with the workshops that will definitely help you train for the exam. As of now, we know that the exam is going to have only QA section and VA section. There is no LR section asked in the exam. But the paper pattern of the exam is not known. As soon as we come to know about the paper pattern, we will definitely deliver 3 to 5 mock tests to you guys as well. So make sure that you subscribe to this channel and inform your friends that this course has started and they can benefit from it. And now let us start learning.
Hey guys, welcome to your first grammar class. This class is about nouns and we are going to take a look at different rules associated with nouns in this particular class. Let's get started. Before we start with the grammar module, we need to understand why do we study grammar. We study grammar because first, it is essential for language skills. Second, it will form a part of various examinations in the form of sentence correction or error detection questions. Third, it will also be useful in fill in the blank type of questions, in questions where you have to choose something to fill from either the suggestions or from the passage or something. So knowing the grammatical context of the sentence and the grammatical usage, for example, usages of prepositions, conjunctions, so on and so forth, knowing the nouns and how different nouns are basically used to convey a certain message, and in general all the parts of speech. This is going to help you solve not only a few questions but quite a lot of them. Grammar also has its uses in reading comprehension, simply because if you have a good grip on grammar and punctuation, you will be able to read in a better manner and comprehend in a better manner. So we study grammar for all these reasons. So what is the idea of spotting the error and sentence improvement? Usually this is where we use grammar a lot, right? These are the main questions that we are going to solve only on the basis of grammar. And when we talk about spotting the error and sentence improvement, these kind of questions typically require you to know specific rules that are there in the grammar. And these rules are quite a lot. However, what we have to do is we have to try and understand whether these rules are all those that we require, or whether we can choose some rules which are more frequently asked in the examination. So when we speak about grammar, there can be n number of rules and exceptions, but from exam point of view, there are some rules that are more important than others. So in this class today, since we are going to discuss nouns, we are going to discuss some rules that are more or less of maximum importance with respect to the examination. Another question where we can use grammar is for sentence replacement questions, which we'll take a look at eventually. Now, what are the 8 parts of speech? This is important because if we don't know parts of speech, we will not know which all areas to focus on. 8 parts of speech basically are nouns, pronouns, verb, adverbs, conjunction, preposition, interjection, and adjectives. Now let's take a look at why we have categorized them like this. Now nouns is a very commonly used form of part of speech. All of the parts of speech are very commonly used. However, when we talk of nouns, we find that without nouns and pronouns, it's practically difficult to build any sentence. Okay, so nouns are more important, pronouns are more important. Pronouns are those words that take place of nouns in a particular context. Okay, so these come in lieu of nouns, which means in place of nouns. For example, you may introduce a person. You may say, this is Radha. She is a student of so and so college and she likes dancing and music. Okay, now when you're saying Radha, it's a noun, and when you're saying she, it's a pronoun. So this is very important for us to understand. What exactly happens here? Nouns can be replaced by pronouns, but for this we need to understand that we have to first make it clear which pronouns are standing for which nouns. This particular correlation gives us a lot of clues, not only in solving the say 3 question types, but also in solving a lot of other question types, and especially in parajumbles. When we say adjectives and adverbs, these are basically modifiers, or these are basically those words which give us further information about nouns and verbs. Now the function of adjectives is to describe nouns. Only adjectives can be used to describe nouns. Whereas in case of adverbs, adverbs can be used to describe verbs. Verbs are those words which talk about action. So for example, if we think of some verbs, we can say running, writing, reading. And if I want to describe reading slowly, so that slowly is the adverb. Running fast, fast is the adverb. Adverb can be used to describe 3 things: verbs, other adverbs, and some adjectives. Whereas to describe nouns, only adjectives can be used. Nothing else can be used to describe a noun. Conjunctions are those words which allow us to join 1 or 2 or more ideas. For example, and, also, additionally, so on and so forth. This group of words is very important for us when we are talking about parajumbles, when we are talking about understanding reading comprehension in a good manner. Obviously, they are also important from a grammatical point of view for spotting the error, sentence improvements, and sentence replacement kind of questions. Prepositions talk about positions of things, so they give you a relative idea about placement of things. This placement can be in time or space, and there are a lot of prepositions which have very specific usages. Usually we make mistakes in prepositions. We don't know whether to say in the mall, at the mall. We don't know whether we have to use on or over or above. So there are such kind of words which confuse us, and we might end up picking something wrong while we are solving the grammar based questions. And therefore understanding prepositions will be a very important task that we have to do. An interjection is nothing but just an idea that is basically expressed with a lot of emotion, strong emotions. For example, hooray. It is a strong emotion. So this bit is the indicative of an interjection. So these are the basic parts of speech. If you have any confusion I would suggest that you should read the basic definitions of different parts of speech and just go through or just brush up some types and some examples, because that will help you with the grammar classes in a much better manner. We are going to do quite a lot in terms of grammar, but if you basically lack the basic entirely, then it will be very difficult for you to understand the classes. So in order to understand what is being told, you should have some clarity regarding different grammatical terms. So it would be my suggestion that it would be great if you could go ahead and just revise at least these definitions of 8 parts of speech. How shall we prepare? We shall prepare by practicing as many number of questions as we can. In the class, you'll be given several rules, okay? And you'll be given some questions based on those rules. Sometimes some additional bit of information may come in the class via questions. So we have to make sure that we are not only making a proper list of rules, we are not only jotting the rules down, but we are also making sure that we are revising them as often as possible. And we are also implementing them via different questions. It's very important for us to do this. Now let's go to nouns. What is a noun? The simplest definition of a noun is that it is a thing, and nouns are basic building blocks of sentences, among other things as well. But without introducing a noun, you just cannot have a sentence. These things can represent a person, animal, place, idea, emotion, almost anything that you can think of. Examples: dog, Sam, love, phone, Chicago, courage, spaceship are all nouns. Other examples of nouns: respect, faith, apple, seashore, peanut, motorcycle, peanut butter for that matter, so on and so forth. You may take a look at these examples. The examples of nouns are made bold for easy identification in the following sentences. The boy and the girl were holding hands as they crossed the bridge on the way to town. I love watching my cat play with pink yarn. Here, my cat might not be a proper noun. You can say cat only can also be considered as a proper noun. Okay, but my cat is giving it a specific identity. That's why my is also emboldened. It is raining. It here is basically a pronoun. Okay. But because there is nothing else to start the subject with, you can consider it noun for this purpose. Everyone, grab your umbrella, hat, and watch out for puddles. Okay. So here it basically has to talk about the state of being or the state of weather, and there is no particular noun that can be used for it. So instead of a pronoun, we are going to consider it as a noun. What are the different types of nouns? Different types of nouns are common nouns, proper nouns, collective nouns, concrete nouns, abstract nouns, countable nouns, uncountable nouns, and material nouns. Okay, material nouns and concrete nouns can be similar to each other. What are common nouns? Common nouns are the names that are given to categories. This is the simplest way we can understand. For example, if I say chair, all the chairs are identifiable as chairs only. If I say tables, no matter what shape, size, style, and what particular type of a table it is still a table. Girl, boy, category of genders. Okay, cars, category of vehicle, bikes, category of vehicle, buildings, common noun again. So common nouns are basically, you can say they are sort of like categories. Okay, when we talk about proper nouns are particular names given to particular things. Okay, for example, Smita. For example, Rohit. These are proper nouns. So the idea behind proper nouns is that if we want to specify one particular thing or an individual or a place, then we use a proper noun. It could be for cities, Pune, Nagpur. It could be for countries, India, right? It could be for, say, particular cars, So say a name of a car company, right? Fiat, for example, so on and so forth. So proper nouns are the identification that is there. We identify via proper nouns. What are collective nouns? Collective nouns are those names that are given to collection of things. Okay, so collective nouns can be cattle, a collection of cows, buffalo, so on and so forth. Collective noun can be police. Collective noun can be a class, group, bunch, so on and so forth. There are a lot of collective nouns. We are going to take a look at them in detail. Concrete nouns versus abstract nouns. The concrete nouns are those nouns which can be perceived or felt. In other words, these are the nouns that are tangible. Anything that you can touch and feel or perceive are considered concrete nouns. Abstract nouns, these nouns typically represent things that we cannot touch or perceive, okay, through our sense organs. Okay, you can perceive as in you can feel them emotionally, but you can't really perceive them through any sense organ. For example, here you'll say typically emotions. So love, hate, these are very real emotions. They have impact on our regular life. But if I ask you to touch, like, your hatred, you can't do it, right? Because it's a feeling. So you can say that these are about intangibles. Countable nouns and uncountable nouns. Countable nouns and uncountable nouns are basically those nouns which can be counted and the nouns which cannot be counted. For example, if you can pick up individually bits of something, you can count. Okay, you can count them. For example, book, pen. So you can say that there are 3 books, there is 1 book, there are 5 pens, there are pens, there are 10 pens, so on and so forth. However, if we cannot create a single unit or if we cannot really segregate a single unit, we have to call them uncountable nouns. Okay, for example, grain. Grain is, you can say a grain of rice, which means only just 1 grain of rice. But when you say grains, grains basically means a collection of a lot of grains. And if we do not talk about it in terms of 1 grains or 2 grains, we usually don't talk about it this way. Okay, water, you cannot count water. Okay, you cannot segregate 1 unit of water without putting it into something else. Okay, for example, when you say 1 bottle of water, you are counting the bottle. If you say 5 bottles of water, you're not counting water, you're counting the number of bottles filled with water. So that is the idea. Material nouns are typically those nouns which are used to denote material. For example, wood, gold, diamond, silver, so on and so forth. Here, since diamonds are individual units, you may count diamond, but usually when we speak about material nouns, we are talking about them as a material something is built of. Okay, so you will never say a gold, you'll say a gold something. For example, a gold ring. You will not say a silver, you'll say a silver chain. So the article a or an cannot be used, or even for that matter the cannot be used with material nouns, because you need something else. These are only describing the materials, and a, an, or the are used to talk about a thing. Okay, so if you want to say a wooden table, then you can use a. You can't say a wood. Okay, so that is the idea behind material nouns. Let's take a look at some compound nouns. Compound nouns are some nouns which consists of more than 1 word. Okay, there are several forms of compound nouns. Usually, noun plus noun can make a compound noun. Okay, car and park are both nouns, but car park is basically an idea where you can park your cars. Okay, Iceland is a country. Ice is a noun. Land is a noun. But Iceland is together a compound noun. Shopkeeper, somebody who keeps shop. So shop is noun, keeper is a noun. Keeper is a noun in what context? Keeper is a noun in the context of basically talking about someone who's maintaining or keeping something. Okay. Website, web is a noun, site is a noun. Similarly, there are some adjectives that can be combined with nouns to give us compound nouns. Blackberry, berry that is black. Okay, grandstand, a stand that is grand. Greenhouse, greenhouse is the glass structure inside which we plant trees, especially in colder areas. Okay, so greenhouse, a house that is green. So green here is adjective, grand here is adjective, black here is adjective. Small talk, talk, but of what kind? Small. So since small is describing the talk, we can say that small is adjective. Okay, so these are some words which are compound and made from adjective and noun. Verb plus noun. Sometimes verb can be combined with nouns to create compound nouns. Break water, fall guy, go kart, run away are such examples. Verb is an action. So break is action, fall is action, go is action, run is action. So the first part of all these words, the first part will be action, and the other part is a noun. Water is a noun. Guy, water is material noun or uncountable noun. When we spoke about these nouns, one single noun can fall in any category and multiple categories also. They are not mutually exclusive. Okay. So here when we say water, water can be material noun. Also it can be uncountable. Guy, guy is a person, right? So countable noun and also common noun. Cart, way are similar examples. Some more examples of compound nouns are bathroom, sheep, dog, windscreen. There can be some compound nouns which are formed by adding hyphens. So check-in, firefighter, son-in-law, such examples. There are some compound nouns in which the first word and the second word will have a space between them. Bottle opener, New Year's Day, Prime Minister are such examples. However, if you see here shopkeeper and website, there is no gap between the words. So the words are coming together as a bunch. So these are all compound nouns. Let us think about what is subject-verb agreement. What is a subject, first of all? What is a verb and what is an object? So when we say anything, we typically describe something that is happening. Okay. For example, I walk my dogs. If we take a look at this, what is a verb? A verb is an action. So what is the action here? The action of walking. Who is the subject? Now, typically, subject and verb are associated with each other. So something that is taking the action, or basically something that is the doer of the verb that you are considering, is a subject. So I is the subject. What is an object? An object is typically that which is getting affected because of the verb, or which is getting affected because of the action taken by the subject. So this is the object. Now we must understand that a subject and a verb are a must in any sentence. Okay. When we think of some sentences, for example, thank you. It is a sentence. Okay. It is a complete sentence. Thank you. You may say that, ma'am, there is no subject here. What is the object here? You is the object. There is only verb. Okay. But there is no subject. But is that true? That's not true. Why? Because when we say thank you, we by default mean I thank you. So the subject here exists, but it is not a part of the sentence explicitly. Okay. So sometimes we have to understand that such sentences can be also there where the subject is not explicitly mentioned, but it exists nevertheless, at least because of the context, or at least because of the way the language is usually used. Okay. For example, if I say no, okay, if I say no to anything, for example, you are asking me that, ma'am, shall we skip grammar altogether? And I'm saying no, right? So what does it mean? I'm saying no, we shall not skip grammar altogether. So who is the subject here? We, right? And what is the action? Skipping grammar. So here in this sentence, no is a sentence in itself. So in this sentence, neither the subject can be found nor the verb can be found. But still, it is a response to something. Okay, it is a response to some action, and basically, when you think about it, you'll be able to find the subject and the verb. A no without any context will not mean anything. Okay, it has to be a response to something, and from that something we'll be able to understand what is the subject and what is the verb. Now, what is the idea behind subject-verb agreement? This topic is not to be covered in this class, but just a brief introduction has to be there. When we say subject can be plural or singular. For example, dog and dogs. Okay. If I want to say my dog eats a lot of food, I'll use the verb in this form, eats, right? This is singular form. So if I'm using the singular subject, dog is singular, eats is singular verb. If I want to say my dogs eat a lot, I'm not going to use eats. I'm going to say eat. So this is the plural form. So please remember that when we are talking about subjects, usually in case of nouns, when we add an s at the end or es at the end, we tend to get plurals. But in case of verb, when we add an s or es at the end, we tend to get singular. This is why a lot of people get confused, and instead of saying my dog eats or my dogs eat, we say my dogs eats, which is a wrong usage. Okay, so with singular verb, singular subject has to come, and with singular plural subject, plural verb has to come. That is the basic idea here. Okay, now let's talk about what kind of subjects will use plural always. Subjects that are in first person and second person. What are the first person and second person? I is the first person and you is second person. Okay, so whenever I talk about I'm not going to say I has a lot of books. I'm going to say I have a lot of books. So first and second person will always use plurals. I'm never going to say you has something. I'm always going to say you have something, right? So aside from first and second person, we are going to use this subject-verb agreement rules to make the sentence grammatically correct. Okay, so basically only the third person is associated with subject-verb agreement. Okay, for I and you, that is for the first and second person, we always use plural verbs. Now let's come to the rules associated with nouns. A proper noun becomes a common noun when it is used in plural form or when an article is placed before it. Okay, so a proper noun, what is a proper noun? A proper noun is identity or name, particular name of something. A name that helps you identify. For example, Sam, Rohit, Rohini, so on and so forth. Common noun can be a category of people. Okay, category. So what does this say? When it is used in plural form or when an article is placed before it, a proper noun can be converted to a common noun. ठीक है, तो एक इंडिविजुअल को आप एक कैटेगरी में कन्वर्ट कर सकते हो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, सुश्रुता इज द हिपोक्रेटिस ऑफ इंडिया. So if you're placing the Hippocrates, you're creating a category of what? People like Hippocrates. Okay. The Vermas are the Kardashians of Indian silver screen. Verma is a very particular proper noun. Though it is a surname, it is still a proper noun. Kardashians, proper noun, but we are placing the before them. So we are creating a category. Now when we do this, what happens? When we do this, we are actually creating a category, and we are talking about, when we say the, we are talking about some very particular qualities of that particular noun. Okay, for example, the Kardashians are famous for live television. So the Vermas, when we say the Vermas are the Kardashians of Indian silver screen, we mean that the Vermas are equally popular or equally sought after just as Kardashians are. Okay, so in case of Kardashians, their popularity is the biggest thing about them, and that is what we are comparing, and that particular quality is being given to Vermas. That is the idea. Next, rule number 2, a collective noun takes a singular verb when the whole group is considered as one unit. A collective noun takes a singular verb. क्योंकि हम one unit के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, ठीक है? It is considered plural when individual members are acknowledged. Okay, so for example, the Indian team played well in the test series. So here it is a collective noun. So here the meaning is singular. Okay, you can also convert it for better clarity. The Indian team plays well. The Indian team plays well against most opponents. So here plays is a singular verb. Now when I'm saying the Indian team plays well, I'm considering the team as a unit, and that's why I'm using a singular verb. Some of the team are injured. Some of the team are injured. Now when we are saying this, we are actually talking about multiple people, and we are talking about the team being a collection of several individuals, and that's why we are going to go with R. Rule number 3. An abstract noun can also be used in sense of a collective noun. When an abstract noun is used as a collective noun, it takes a plural verb. What is an abstract noun? The abstract noun is a quality, okay, or a feeling. An abstract noun can also be used as a common noun by placing an article before it. Okay, so we can convert an abstract noun into a common noun. Common nouns are categories. Okay, the poodle is a beauty. So we are placing an article before the abstract noun beauty. Beauty is a quality, right? If I say the poodle is a beauty, I'm talking about beauty as a category of all the beautiful things, or maybe as all the beautiful dogs, right? Poodles. Youth are the pillars of the nation. Collective noun youth are the pillars of the nation. Okay, so here again youth is an abstract quality, and we are using it as a collective noun, and therefore using R here, because as per the rule, when an abstract noun is used as a collective noun, it takes a plural verb. Okay, now there is one confusion that people usually have. When we say verb, we are not only talking about verbs. By default, we also include auxiliary verbs in them. What are auxiliary verbs? Auxiliary verbs are helping verbs. Okay, is, are, am. These are called auxiliary verbs. Okay, has, have, had. So you also have to match the plurality of this. Is this for singular, are is for plural, so on and so forth. So when we say an abstract noun is used as a collective, when an abstract noun is used as a collective noun, it takes a plural verb. Here youth is the abstract noun, plural verb is are, okay, verb or auxiliary verb, the pillars of the nation. So what are we doing? We are giving plural verb to abstract noun, which is used as a common noun. Rule number 4, inanimate objects which are remarkable for beauty, gentleness, gracefulness, tenderness, weakness, and so on are treated as feminine gender. Inanimate things which are known for strength, courage, violence, superiority, and so on and so forth are treated as masculine. For example, if we talk about moon, moon is usually associated with beauty. Earth is usually associated with beauty or giving birth. Spring, again beauty. Charity, kindness. Melody, beauty or some kind of gentleness, gracefulness. Pity, again kindness, weakness. Okay, so these are all feminine. Coming to masculine, the sun, because sun is usually associated with anger or strength. Death, associated with violence. War, violence. Anger, again strength, courage, all kind of things. So these are considered masculine. Rule number 5, when a material noun denotes a mass of matter, it is not used in plural form. when a material noun denotes a mass of matter. Okay, so what is a mass of matter? Let's take an example. Their house is built of bricks and stones. So यहाँ पे house is the mass of matter, okay, and the material noun bricks and stones basically indicate material associated with this mass of matter. Okay, so the rule says when a material noun denotes a mass of matter, it is not used in plural form. It is then that means it should be in singular form. Their house is built of brick and stone. This is the correct usage. This is a material noun in singular form, and this is the mass of matter house. Okay, so that is the idea. Rule 6. If two adjectives are joined by and the is used before the first adjective, a plural noun is used after the second adjective. Okay, what is the idea? If two adjectives are joined by and the is used before the first adjective, okay, plural noun, the first adjective, यहाँ पे the, Patna University and Bihar University, basically this is what? This is an idea of Patna being Patna being one university. If we want to use universities, we have to follow this rule. Okay, the should be placed only before Patna, first adjective. Okay, so what is happening here is two adjectives are joined by and. Here is that and the is used before the first adjective. Okay, here that the. A plural noun is used after second adjective. So universities. Okay, this is the idea. This is wrong. This is right. Okay, of the Patna and Bihar University and the Patna and Bihar universities. So it means that we are actually talking about two universities. Okay, without this, we might not be able to conclude well. Rule number 7. When a noun or a title consists of several words, the possessive case is formed by adding s to the last word, apostrophe s. Okay, so when a noun or a title consists of several words, if there are a lot of words in a noun or a title, and if you want to make a possessive case, what is a possessive case? A possessive case shows possession on something. Okay, possession on something. So if we want to show possession on something, first of all, apostrophe s can only be used when we are talking about animate objects. Okay, basically the things that can exercise or show possession. Okay, and if I want to create a possessive case for names or titles that are there and which are having multiple words, then I have to use apostrophe s at the last word. Okay, the possessive case of nouns is formed when we put apostrophe s to the noun. Okay, this is how we form possessive case. For example, dog's collar. Okay, dog's collar. So dog is an animate object, right? It can move on its own. So living है. Apostrophe s लगाना है dog का collar मुझे अगर बोलना है तो possession on collar from dog या by dog. So I have to add apostrophe s if I want to show possessive noun, possessive case here. Okay, and usually with personified. Why with personified nouns we can use? For example, death's cold bed. Death's cold bed. Okay, so here I'm saying that the cold bed belongs to death, and in this way I'm personifying death. So I'm giving the quality of being animate to death, and that's why I can use an apostrophe s here. Unless and until you are personifying inanimate objects, you cannot use apostrophe s with them. Okay, so please remember that if something is living or some non-living thing is shown to be living, only then we can use apostrophe s. Otherwise, we cannot use apostrophe s. Okay, for example, bag's handle is a wrong usage. Why? Because bag cannot show possession unless and until I specifically personify. So the correct way of showing that the handle belongs to the bag will be handle of bag or the bag if I'm talking about a specific bag. Handle of bag. Okay. Similarly, you can find out that there are a lot of ways. Okay, so you can say cap of pen. You can't say pen's cap. You cannot say pen's cap. You have to say cap of pen. Now let's go back to the rule and try to understand that when a noun or a title consists of several words, then we have to add apostrophe s to the last one. The Prime Minister of UK's speech. The King of Malaysia's visit to India. So what is the idea here? If there is a title, add apostrophe s to the last bit of that title. So Prime Minister of UK is the title, and we are talking about speech given by them or speech given by him or her. So it is apostrophe s at the end of UK. Similarly, the King of Malaysia's visit to India. So we are talking about the King of Malaysia. This is a title. And I'm talking about possessive case of King of Malaysia. So I have to add apostrophes at the end of the title. Now, rule number 8. When two or more proper nouns are joined by and a common possession is meant, the possessive case will be found by adding apostrophe s to the last noun. Common possession is meant. Okay, so basically, when two or more proper nouns are joined and they are combined and they jointly have ownership of something or jointly possess something, then we are going to add apostrophes to the end. Otherwise, what we have to do, we have to give separate apostrophes to both the nouns and pluralize the last one. For example, the Amar and Kumar's house is really beautiful. Amar and Kumar's house. So when we are only using one apostrophe s at the end, it means that Amar and Kumar jointly own the house. Okay. If I want to say both Amar and Kumar have different homes which are beautiful, what am I going to say? Amar's and Kumar's houses, or a better word is homes, are really beautiful because I'm talking about two houses or two homes which belong separately to Amar and Kumar. Okay. So that is the idea. So when a single apostrophe s, when two proper nouns are joined by and you see two or more proper nouns are joined by and you only see an apostrophe s at the end of last noun, then you can assume that all of these n1, n2 and so forth, so on and so forth, they all collectively own whatever is being spoken of. Okay, that is the idea. Rule number 9. Once a plural, always a plural. These are very important nouns which will always be used, okay, as plurals. And because these nouns will be used as plurals, we also have to use verbs as plurals. Okay, so please make a list of these all. You may pause the video here in order to make a list of this so that you understand which of the nouns are always used as plural and always treated as plural. Okay, this is not an exhaustive list. There will still be many words which belong to this category, but this is a very good list. So you can make a note of it. Let's take a look at the examples. My means were reduced substantially. Here means what? It does not mean meanings. It means my ways of earnings, या फिर my ways of doing something. Okay, were reduced substantially. So it is ways of doing something. Every means is good if the end is good. Okay, this is wrong. Why every means? Every is talking about singular. Is talking about singular, but means are plural. So this statement is wrong. Okay, the cattle was grazing in the field. So here, if you talk about cattle, is this right or is this wrong? So the cattle was is wrong. It should be the cattle were. Why? Because the cattle is already considered a plural. Okay, so it is one of those words which is once a plural, then always a plural. That is the idea. Okay, so since the cattle is considered plural in form, you have to go ahead with a plural auxiliary verb. The cattle were grazing in the field. Rule number 10. Once a single, always a singles. There are such words also which are always considered single. For example, scenery, poetry, furniture. You can never call pluralize them by adding s or es at the end. Advices नहीं होगा, furnitures नहीं होगा, poetries नहीं होगा, scenery नहीं होगा. ठीक है, these are the words which are collective nouns and are used to denote a lot of things together, but they are considered as singular. Okay, hair is also one of them. Hair, right? So these are always considered singular. So you're always going to use singular verbs with them. It's very important. Your hairs is turning gray. Hairs नहीं बोलेंगे. Your hairs are turning gray. भी नहीं बोलेंगे. ठीक है? You'll say your hair is turning gray. All right? That is the idea. Let's take a look at next rule. Rule 11. When a plural noun denotes a specific amount of length, weight, quantity, etc., the verb must be in singular, and it is because it is considered as a whole. ठीक है, तो जब हम लेंथ वेट के बारे में बात करते हैं तो हम एक प्लूरल नाउन को यूनिट के तौर पे देखते हैं, इसीलिए सिंगुलर नाउन आना चाहिए. फॉर एग्जाम्पल 10,000 रुपीज, ये प्लूरल नाउन है, लेकिन इट इज टॉकिंग अबाउट वन अमाउंट या वन सम, राइट? इसीलिए हम कहेंगे इज अ लार्ज अमाउंट. ओके, इज अ लार्ज अमाउंट, इट इज बीइंग ट्रीटेड एज अ सिंगल object. 6 kilometers is not a long distance for a runner like you. So basically we are talking about one length of distance which is 6 kilometers. Okay, so that is the idea. 6 kilometers is not a long distance for you. Rule number 2. Some nouns have the same form for the plural as well as for the singular. Some nouns have the same form for the plural as well as for the singular. This is very important for us to know, क्योंकि हम क्या करते हैं, हमारी गलती कहाँ हो जाती है? When we add es or s to the nouns to create plurals. So if some nouns have same form of plural as well as singular, we should know which those are. Sheep, species, deer, aircraft, offspring, yolk, spacecraft, salmon, so on and so forth are those nouns which belong to this particular category. Okay, so उनका plural भी form एक ही है, singular भी form एक ही है. Rule number 13. Some nouns are used in singular only. Some nouns are used in singular only. Advice, corn, grain, justice, clothing, information, poetry, scenery, machinery, hair. ठीक है, तो मैंने आपको एक स्टार्टिंग में एग्जांपल दिया था grains of rice. यहाँ पे आप क्या कह रहे हो? Maybe you are looking at individual grains, counting them individually, and that's why you are calling them grains of rice. बट अगर हमको कहना है सारी घर में भरी हुई सपोज अलग अलग टाइप के ग्रेन्स, फॉर एग्जांपल दाल, राइस, wheat, बाजरा, collection of those will be called grain. ठीक है, the collection of those. Now it is very interesting to note this. Okay, so whenever you are reading such words, please pay attention to what exactly is being told to you. Examples are advice, corn, grain, justice, clothing, information, poetry, scenery, machinery, etc. Since these are uncountable, these are considered uncountable. Okay, so if you want to talk about, say, advice and information, you're always going to say, can you give me a piece of advice? A piece of advice. Or can you give me a bit of information? Yeah, I received a bit of information or a piece of information. You can't say I received one information or I received an advice. It is a very wrong, however, quite prevalent usage. Okay, so sometimes what we use in real life or regular life and what is right can be two very different things. Okay. Some nouns have plural meaning by definition only. Okay. So if a definite numeral is used before them, they are not pluralized. For example, a pair, a score, gross, stone, 100, dozen, 1,000, million, billion. तो इनका मतलब ही प्लूरल है. ओके, तो अगर एक डेफिनेट न्यूमरल एडजेक्टिव यूज किया है आपने, ठीक है, डेफिनेट न्यूमरल एडजेक्टिव, फॉर एग्जांपल 1 मिलियन, तो यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू से 1 मिलियंस डॉलर. ठीक है, $1 million, you'll say $1 million. Okay, 3 million को आप 3 millions बोल सकते हो without using any noun after that. But if you're using a noun with them, then you're not going to call it 3 millions, you're going to say $3 million. Okay, that is the idea here. Otherwise, these nouns can be pluralized if you are not using specific numerals before them. Okay, so dozens of women, hundreds of people. तो यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, इन्हीं nouns को हमने प्लूरल फॉर्म में यूज किया है. क्यों? क्योंकि इनके सामने कोई एक डेफिनेट न्यूमरल एडजेक्टिव नहीं लगाया है, यानी 1 2 3 4 डेफिनेट नंबर नहीं यूज किया है, इसलिए हम यहाँ पे प्लूरल यूज कर सकते हैं. रूल नंबर 15. The possessive case of a noun, compound noun, will be formed by adding apostrophe s to the last word. The possessive case of a compound noun will be formed by adding apostrophe s to the last word. ठीक है, कंपाउंड नाउन है तो लास्ट वर्ड में apostrophe s लगाना है, ये पॉजिटिव केस के लिए. अगर हमको प्लूरल करना है तो क्या होगा? अगर प्लूरल करना है तो कंपाउंड नाउन्स में एक बहुत कॉमन रूल है, इफ यू वांट टू क्रिएट अ प्लूरल ऑफ अ कंपाउंड नाउन, व्हाट इज द मोर इंपॉर्टेंट अमंगस्ट those two nouns, that is what you have to determine. Here brother-in-law is not more important. In case of brother-in-law, in-law is an adjective, but what is more important? Brother, right? So if you want to create a plural of this, you'll say brothers-in-law, several brothers in law. You're not going to say brother-in-laws. Okay, क्योंकि फिर in-laws हो जाता है, which is wrong. हमको क्या कहना है, बहुत सारे brothers है. Which kind of brothers? Those brothers who are your brothers in law. ठीक है, commander in chief's car, ये apostrophe s वाला एग्जांपल है. ठीक है, please don't get confused. We were talking about giving a plural, making the more important part of the compound noun plural. ठीक है, अभी थोड़ी देर पहले. एंड यहाँ पे जो एग्जांपल्स है ये है apostrophe s possessive case के लिए. So please make sure that you are drawing a distinction. So brother-in-law's house, commander-in-chief's car. Okay. Rule number 16. Singular face value, plural place value. Now there are a lot of nouns which look as if they are singular, but उनको हम क्या कहेंगे? प्लेस वैल्यू उनका प्लूरल ही रहेगा. सिंगुलर क्यों दिखता है? क्योंकि उनके ऊपर कोई एस ई एस ऐसे कोई प्लूरल इंडिकेट करने वाले मार्कर्स नहीं है. ओके, बट इनका प्लेस वैल्यू हमेशा इनको कंसिडर क्या करना है, हमको इनको कंसिडर करना है प्लूरल ही. तो इनके साथ जो भी वर्ब्स आप यूज करेंगे दे हैव टू बी प्लूरल. ओके, कैटल, क्लर्जी, cavalry, infantry, poultry, peasantry, gentry, police, etc. are all such words. There is a long list of such words, so please make a note of it. ठीक है, police, very interesting. The police are coming बोलोगे क्या, कि the police is coming बोलोगे? The police are on their way to the crime scene. Are is correct. Why? Because singular face value, plural place value. Okay, the cattle is grazing the field बोलोगे क्या? नहीं, the cattle are grazing the field, क्योंकि प्लूरल प्लेस वैल्यू है, तो हमें जो वर्ब्स है वो प्लूरल यूज करने हैं. शी ओन्स अ पोल्ट्री फार्म, या फिर शी हैज अ लॉट ऑफ पोल्ट्री, या फिर यू कैन से हर पोल्ट्री आर गुड. ठीक है, क्यों? क्योंकि पोल्ट्री सिंगुलर दिखता है लेकिन उसका प्लेस वैल्यू प्लूरल है, तो आपको आर ही यूज करना पड़ेगा, यू कैन नॉट यूज इज. यहाँ पे शी ओन्स अ पोल्ट्री फार्म इज अ कंपाउंड नाउन. ओके, नेक्स्ट रूल नंबर 17. कॉमन जेंडर, डुअल जेंडर नाउन्स. टीचर, स्टूडेंट, चाइल्ड, क्लर्क, कैंडिडेट, इस टाइप के जितने भी नाउन्स हैं, ठीक है, जो डुअल जेंडर के हो सकते हैं, लेकिन अगर उनके बारे में स्पेसिफाई नहीं किया गया है तो आपको उसको कंसिडर क्या करना है? मैस्कुलिन. ठीक है, you will always consider them masculine. This is a very outdated and sexist rule. ठीक है, लेकिन it is still a rule so far. So most likely in a few years this rule will be banished. लेकिन ये रीजन है कि क्यों आप जब डॉक्टर, वर्कर, राइटर, ये सब चीजों के बारे में बात करते हो, प्रोफेशंस के बारे में बात करते हो, तो यूजुअली you'll see his with it, not her. Okay, because this is an age old rule in English. ठीक है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल एवरी कैंडिडेट शुड राइट हिज नेम. आप नहीं कहोगे कि एवरी कैंडिडेट शुड राइट हर नेम, स्पेशली अगर कोई रेफरेंस ही नहीं है आसपास तो. ठीक है, कि टू डिटरमाइन द जेंडर, एवरी पर्सन शुड परफॉर्म हिज ड्यूटी you are not going to say her duty. Each, either, everyone, everybody, no one, nobody, neither are also common gender pronouns. ठीक है, तो इनको भी अगर आप common gender pronoun consider करोगे तो आपको जहां पे everyone should play by his own rules. ठीक है, तो everyone common gender pronoun है, तो यहाँ पे भी common gender pronoun है, तो हमको क्या consider करना है? masculine उस noun को. ठीक है, तो you are going to use pronouns as per the masculinity or femininity as determined by this rule. If you have references, for example, there were several candidates for the post of female teacher in our school. तो यहाँ पे आप कह सकते हो कि every candidate wanted herself to be selected. क्यों? क्योंकि आपको पहले ही रेफरेंस मिल गया है कि आप किसके बारे में बात कर रहे हो. तो अगर कॉन्टेक्स्ट मिला है और कॉन्टेक्स्ट में अपनी जेंडर डिफाइन किया हुआ है तो आप उस जेंडर के अकॉर्डिंग काम करेंगे. लेकिन अगर कॉन्टेक्स्ट नहीं मिला है तो फिर आप उसको मैस्कुलिन ही कंसिडर करेंगे. रूल नंबर 18, when a noun or a title consists of several words, sorry, this has been done already, this is a repeat. Rule number 19, if the last syllable of a noun ends in s or dash ce and the noun is followed by word sake, the possessive case will be formed by adding only apostrophe. For example, Janice. Okay, if this is the name and I want to talk about bag, one bag that Janice has, so I'm going to say Janice's bag. ठीक है, Janice's bag, और या फिर Janice's sake. Okay, so in case the noun is followed by word sake, what we have to do, possessive noun of the case, possessive case of the noun will be added by forming apostrophe s only. So what I have to do is for Janice's sake, जैसे हम बोलते हैं for God's sake, तो यहाँ पे God sake यानी apostrophe s. ठीक है, हमने s apostrophe और s दोनों यूज किया, लेकिन अगर c या s से एंड होने वाला कोई एक वर्ड है तो वहां पे you'll just give an apostrophe before the s. Okay, that is the idea. Now let's solve some questions. Here we have a set of 10 questions. Please pause the video here and give it a try so that we can understand how to solve them. So I hope you have given a fair try to all the questions. Let's start discussion. My friend gives me many advices regarding my future. We have seen that advices is always going to be singular in its form. So first of all, it should be advice. And it is not countable also, as I told you, if you want to use advice directly, okay, then what is going to happen? You are going to say a piece of advice. Okay, because these are also uncountable. So a piece of advice, a bit of information, that way. Question number 2, he is one of the famous shoes maker in Paris. Now I told you that if you want to create a plural of a compound noun, you have to make the plural of that word which is more important to you. For example, shoes are not more important here. Okay, more important thing is the maker. Why? Because you're defining the job of this person, whoever it is, his, he, right? So he's a maker of shoes. So the more important word here is makers. So you can just say that it is shoe makers. He is one of the famous shoemakers in Paris. Okay, that is the idea. Question 3. The magistrate has issued many summons asking me to attend his court on Monday. Now, what seems to be the problem with this particular one? It should be summons, because summons is a word that is singular. It looks plural, but it is singular. Okay, plural of summons is summonses. Okay, sounds very odd, but that is how it is. Question 4. Many of my sheep has matured recently. ठीक है, बहुत सिंपल है. एक तो हम बोल रहे many, ठीक है, काफी. sheep हमेशा हम लोग प्लूरल कंसिडर करेंगे. ठीक है, मतलब प्लूरल और सिंगुलर में sheep सेम है. ठीक है, बट बिकॉज देयर इज मेनी वी हैव टू कंसिडर इट प्लूरल. ठीक है, तो many of my sheep have matured recently. Had I been speaking about one sheep, one single sheep, ठीक है, एक ही अगर भेड़ का बच्चा है या भेड़ है तो उसको आप क्या कहोगे? My sheep has matured recently. मतलब I have only one sheep and it has matured. Okay. Next, we have purchased new furnitures for our homes. ठीक है. अब यहाँ पे क्या हो सकता है? Many people can say यहाँ पे home आना चाहिए. That is not the idea. Why? ये कह रहे we have purchased new furnitures for our home. सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम तो फर्नीचर्स में है. अब ये भी हो सकता है कि ये जो कह रहे हैं वी, ये दो तीन फ्रेंड्स होंगे और ये दोनों तीनों अपने अपने घर के लिए फर्नीचर खरीद रहे होंगे, तो होम्स इज फाइन. ठीक है. तो होम्स में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, होम्स इज फाइन. द प्रॉब्लम इज विद फर्नीचर्स. वाई? बिकॉज फर्नीचर इज अ कलेक्टिव नाउन फॉर एवरी single bit of furniture that you may have, a chair, a table, a TV stand, and everything collectively will be called furniture. So furniture is basically a category, it's a common noun. You are not going to call it furnitures. कभी भी वो plural नहीं होगा. Furniture comparative अगर हम देखें तो furniture हर एक चीज को combine करके कहा जाता है, and it is never plural. We have seen this. It will never be plural. Question number 6. The counselor has given me many informations about the disease. As we saw here, advices, it should be the counselor has given me a lot of information. Many को many आप कब यूज करोगे? Many आप तब यूज करते हो जब आप सिंगल चीजें काउंट कर सकते हो. ठीक है. There are many cars on the road. If I wanted, I can count the cars. ठीक है. If I wanted to, I could just go ahead and count कि 10 कार है, 12 कार है, 50 cars है, right? But when you are talking about uncountable nouns, you can't use many. First of all, instead of many, you can use much. There isn't much water left. You're not going to say there isn't many water left or there aren't many water left. Okay, but you're going to say there isn't much water left. First, uncountable noun. वैसे ही information के लिए अगर आपको कहना है तो there is a specific rule. So you can say the counselor has given me a lot of information because हमको many वाला concept लाना है वहाँ पे. You can also say the counselor has given me much information, but as per the context it doesn't suit to use much. Okay, you can say much information was not available online. ठीक है. या फिर not a lot of information was available online. That is another way. Again, informations नहीं होगा, s नहीं लगाते हम लोग information के साथ. The Kia factory has the latest machineries. Like furniture, it should be machinery. Again, a collective noun that is used in singular form and does not have a plural. The sister-in-laws have been placed in at a good position. ये क्या होना चाहिए? Sisters-in-law. Sisters-in-law, not sister-in-laws. ठीक है. I have explained this previously, so I hope you remember. Question 9. His eldest daughter advocates for those destined to go to the gallows. There's nothing wrong here. Gallows is basically a word that is plural in face value, which looks like it is plural, but it is singular. ठीक है. और यहाँ पे स्टेटमेंट में कहीं कोई क्लैश भी नहीं है. ठीक है. तो we can just accept it as it is. 10th. The magistrate has passed order for his release from the prisons. Order is one another such thing. Okay. When you say order, it's about discipline या फिर it's about bringing order to something. Bringing order to something मतलब अगर कोर्ट में बहुत हल्ला गुल्ला चल रहा है तो फिर the judge will say order, right? So basically what is the judge saying? Please be seated and do not create a ruckus. So basically order का मतलब यहाँ पे क्या है? Discipline, properly kept, properly maintained discipline. The magistrate has passed. Order is wrong, it should be orders. So यहाँ पे जो order का context है, ठीक है, कि somebody has been ordered to do something, उस context को हम लोग हमेशा plural में use करते हैं orders, whereas the word order stands for discipline or kind of sitting down properly, neatly. Okay. Next, please solve this set of questions and then unpause for explanation. So I hope you have solved this question, these questions properly. Let's take a look. This pant will not cut it for the party. Pant is one word that is never used as a singular. Okay, it will be pants. इसका face value भी हमेशा pants ही रहेगा, and it will be called these pants. These pants will not cut it for the party. Okay, these pants. तो ऐसे बहुत सारी चीजें हैं जो पेयर्स में होती है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल स्पेक्टिकल्स, सिजर्स, पैंट्स. तो इनको हमेशा हम लोग प्लूरल में ही यूज करते हैं. ओके, दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अस टू नो. 12. आई हैव सीन मेनी एयरक्राफ्ट इन द एयर शो ग्राउंड. अभी थोड़ी देर पहले हमारा डिस्कशन हुआ था कि एयरक्राफ्ट इज सिंगुलर एज वेल एज प्लूरल ऑफ इटसेल्फ. ठीक है, जैसे शीप होता है, सिंगुलर एंड प्लूरल बोथ. You'll never say aircrafts. You're always going to say only aircraft. The gentry and peasant have always been at loggerheads. ठीक है, तो अब यहाँ पे कुछ प्रॉब्लम है क्या? देखो, अगर जेंट्री कहना है तो जेंट्री इज अ कंबाइंड वर्ड. ठीक है, और कलेक्टिव नाउन विच इज बेसिकली प्लूरल बट लुक सिंगुलर. ओके, एंड पेजेंट, द जेंट्री एंड द पेजेंट. अब यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है? व्हेन वी आर सेइंग द जेंट्री एंड पेजेंट, हमने क्या किया? कॉमन नाउन के आगे हमने लगा दिया है द, जिसकी वजह से हमने ग्रुप क्रिएट कर लिया है. ठीक है, तो वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट ग्रुप ए एंड ग्रुप बी बीइंग एट loggerheads. So gentry and peasant are fighting amongst each other. We are talking about two groups. So यहाँ पे have is right. There is no problem there. Okay, we are talking about two groups, and because there are two groups, plural है तो have आएगा. हाँ, यहाँ पे has होता तो गलत होता. Okay, because we are talking about two groups clashing together, so this is fine. 14. Even able-bodied beggars beg for am. Am is not a word, ams is a word. Ams यानी भीख basically. ठीक है, तो even able-bodied beggars beg for ams. There are some words जिसमें से अगर आप s हटा दो तो चीजें मीनिंग ही चेंज हो जाता है. जैसे हमने ऑर्डर का देखा अभी, वैसे अगर हम देखें स्पेक्टिकल, स्पेक्टिकल विदाउट एन एस, ये स्पेक्टिकल विद एन एस मीन्स चश्मा. विदाउट एन एस द स्पेक्टिकल मीन्स तमाशा या फिर समथिंग टू लुक एट. ओके, नॉट दी रेगुलर आई ग्लासेस. ओके, सो ऐसे ही होता है एम्स का. अगर आप एस हटा दोगे तो इट विल मीन समथिंग एल्स. समन्स, समन्स में भी अगर आप एस हटा दोगे, दिस इज एन ऑर्डर फ्रॉम समवन आस्किंग यू टू कम टू अ पर्टिकुलर प्लेस. इफ यू रिमूव एस, समन यानी this is an act of calling somebody. So these are two different things. That is an order, that is a noun, this is a verb. Okay, that is the idea. She lost all her baggages in a foreign country. Again, baggage is a combined word which looks singular but is a collective noun for a lot of bags. So she lost all her baggage in a foreign country. That is the idea. As Camus' parents were old, he looked for companies among his friends. अब यहाँ पे दो प्रॉब्लम्स हैं. जब s से कोई चीज एंड होती है तो हमने देखा था s या c से कोई एंड होता है तो वी जस्ट सिंपली पुट एन अपॉस्ट्रोफी s. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे आएगा कैमूस. ओके, अगर सेक नहीं है तो भी यही होने वाला है. ठीक है, क्योंकि s साउंड ऑलरेडी है. तो एज कैमूस पेरेंट्स वर ओल्ड ही लुक्ड फॉर कंपनी. कंपनी, ठीक है, ये कंपनीज यानी क्या हो गए? इंस्टीट्यूट्स, अलग अलग इंस्टीट्यूट्स वेयर यू कैन वर्क, राइट. बट यहाँ पे जो उनको कहना है कंपनी विच टॉक्स अबाउट कंपेनियनशिप. ठीक है, कंपेनियनशिप के बारे में बात हो रही है, तो कंपनीज नहीं होगा, कंपनी होगा. So there are two problems with this particular statement. 17. She took great pain to write the essay properly. It is great pains. Okay, pain is the act of going through something. Like, जो दर्द होता है उसको आप पेन बोलते हो. But if you take great pain, it is not pain, it is always considered great pains. ठीक है, ऐसे ही लिखते हैं उसको. So to take great pains का मतलब to take a lot of effort, to put in a lot of hard work. With an S आना चाहिए. Question 18. These ions have been brought from Africa. Now here we are, from the statement we can understand that they are talking about material ion. And I told you a material noun is never used in a plural manner. So you can say this iron, even if it is a lot of iron, ठीक है, this iron has been brought from Africa, this gold has been brought from Saudi Arabia, okay, that way. अगर आपको प्लूरल में ही यूज करना है तो आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा, यू विल हैव टू क्रिएट अ यूनिट ऑफ इट. फॉर एग्जांपल these iron bars और these iron rods, okay, वहां पे भी आप मटेरियल के सामने प्लूरल नहीं लगा सकते. आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा, these iron rods, so you are basically creating individual units and then you are giving plural to the units. ठीक है. Question 19. These sceneries of Kashmir are beautiful. It is never used like this. As we saw, it is scenery. ठीक है. Combined noun है. Place value singular. Face value singular. ठीक है. Scenery दिखने में भी हमको singular ही लगता है और इसका कोई plural नहीं होता. ठीक है. Plural and singular are the same thing here. It is never considered a plural at all. So this scenery of Kashmir is beautiful. यहाँ पे बहुत सारी चीजें चेंज करनी पड़ेंगी. Okay. Last one, my brother-in-laws will come to our house next week. We have seen that when we are talking about compound nouns, we make plural of them by identifying the noun that is more important. So यहाँ पे brother-in-laws, in-laws is adjective. This is more important. So you are going to make plural of brothers. You will not pluralize adjectives. You are going to pluralize the nouns. Okay, that is the idea here. So that's all from me, guys, for this particular session. I hope you were able to learn a lot today. Please make sure that you're noting down all the rules, and please make sure that you're practicing a lot. If you're coming across some particular statements or some particular questions which are giving you more rules, please add those rules in your repository because it's very important. In grammar, there are a lot of rules, and it is not possible for us to say learn 40 rules for every single part of speech, and then there are several other topics in grammar that we have to cover. So we are not learning 40, we are learning around 15 to 20 maximum. Why? Because it is possible to remember them in that manner, and these are the ones that are tested more frequently. इसमें भी 15-20 में भी अगर आप प्रॉपरली देखेंगे तो 10 रूल्स ऐसे रहेंगे हर टॉपिक में, 10 या 5 ही रूल्स ऐसे रहेंगे जो सबसे ज्यादा टेस्ट होते हैं. तो हमें उनकी प्रैक्टिस बहुत अच्छे से करनी है. ठीक है. तो जहां पे भी आप ग्रामर रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करो, अगर आपको कोई इंपॉर्टेंट रूल लगता है या आपको एडिशनल बिट ऑफ इन्फॉर्मेशन कुछ मिलता है तो प्लीज एड इट इन योर नोट्स. ओके, यूज इट फॉर रिविजन ऑल्सो, but within the class we are going to look at a limited number of rules and practice those limited number of rules because it is essential to practice more, otherwise you are not going to remember anything. Okay, so I hope you will practice a lot of grammar now, and I'll catch up with you in the next session. Till then, see you. Bye bye.